have the privilege of coming to you with a good friend of mine, mentor, friend of many years, by the name of Gerren Sprauve, fellow entrepreneur, owner of Clean Slate Janitorial Services, and also a speaker, public speaker who travels the country speaking to groups of people in various settings. So, Gerren, thank you.
Yeah,
Welcome today. I
yeah,
appreciate you coming by.
absolutely.
So today we're gonna focus on a concept that's just one word, a word that is so dense in its meaning, it's worthy of a full conversation. And so, Gerren, I want to kick off the discussion today with the idea of resilience.
Mm,
You know, as we now are both leaned into our entrepreneurial um, direction and our focus, you know, the idea of day-to-day resilience and what it truly means is something you and I get a chance to talk about a lot. We talk about it as this daily commitment or renewal of our purpose, of our focus, of our energies towards a singular goal.
mhm.
So can you talk to me a little bit about maybe, you know, some recent experiences and effectively how has resilience made an impact on you?
Yeah, I appreciate you. First off, having me here, and this topic, it resonates so much with me right now because every single day I'm realizing how much it comes into play.
Mm,
Even this deep breath that you just saw me take, it's my God. Listen, resilience is the cornerstone of my days,
mm,
plain and simple. Every day there's a battle of whether or not I'm thinking about the future or I'm thinking about something that I've done in the past. And the challenge is staying in the now. And the reason why I'm always in this state of flux is because we're always thinking, we're always planning as entrepreneurs, we're always looking forward. And um, there's times when you begin to doubt yourself. And in those moments, um, life doesn't stop.
mm,
So as life comes at you, how do you then lean in again,
mm.
right? So I've learned how to take deep breaths just to be able to pause long enough for me to lean in.
Yeah, so let's talk about that concept of doubt. You know, when
Mm,
as you and I have talked about recently, you know, I've referred to it as the voices in your head,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're driven, you're motivated. That's kind of par for the course, right? It comes with the territory.
yeah,
But when you have those quiet moments where
mm,
something may not be going the way you want it to go,
yeah,
where you're tired, right? Where you've got, you know, reality and responsibilities at the doorstep and you don't quite see the path on how to get there.
yeah,
You talk about these voices in your head. You had a brief period in corporate America before you transitioned to entrepreneurial pursuits.
yeah.
Can you talk about how different this dynamic is between, you know, when you're working for a company and your paycheck is what it is and you can plan and prepare versus what you experience now? And you've been at this for years. So
Yeah.
just talk about how that's really transformed you over that time.
Yeah, yeah. 20 years to be
Mm.
exact. And I'm amazed that I've been out here for such a long period. Um, it's something that I've now gotten used to. That state of being uncomfortable
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
My wife says to me, she's like, Garen, you have your mood swings ever so often, and typically it's every time payroll comes around. Okay. There's so many things that are at play, but the one thing that I enjoy having is having interaction with my employees. And the reason why, it takes me back to the time when I was working in corporate America,
Yeah.
and I get to see things through their lenses. Um, I get to respect where they are, although they don't always understand where I'm at
Mm.
and the decisions that I have to make. But the transition, man, has been it's a significant shift in how you think and how you look at the world.
Mm.
Um, I have friends of mine who are entrepreneurs, and sometimes they make slight comments as though they were an employee just to trigger me because they know that I see things on both sides. Um, and it's just a different world. It's a different It's a different landscape.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely being only a few months removed from that space,
Mm.
the day-to-day, week-to-week requirement to wake up and have an absolute targeted focus is probably one of the most difficult transitions.
But you had a focus before.
Correct. I had a focus before. I considered myself a very driven individual.
Yeah.
My career accomplishments would, from the outside looking in, demonstrate that, oh, you were successful in this space. You reached the place
Mm-hmm.
that 99% of people ever reach or
Mm-hmm.
never reach in their career.
Yep.
And so I find myself here, right? Effectively, again, back at ground zero for the most part, having to build up. And when you're in corporate America, your schedule is so defined by the objectives of the company, how other people need you to spend time in order to drive their agenda,
Yes.
how you interact with others in order to drive your agenda.
Yes.
That really becomes kind of the routine. When you step into the entrepreneurial space, it, that muscle to drive an agenda that you built up over years, you wake up that first day and you're like, what am I going to do? I don't have an agenda to drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have a big team to meet with. I don't have clients at the ready that are trusting me to deliver whatever it is I'm planning to deliver for them. And when I recognize I've got to go create that to then be able to use the muscles that I developed in the
Yep.
previous space,
Yep.
man, that's a gut punch. It's a gut punch because it puts you in a place where, for the first time, again, I had to pull on this muscle of resilience that I believe I have. I believe in my heart of hearts that I'm somebody that bounces back fairly well. I've learned not to, keep loading bricks in my backpack. I get rid of stuff and I try to move on.
Yeah.
But when the circumstances of your life change quickly and you're now forced into this new space where you now have to create what the company before created for you.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a completely different experience
Yes.
or perspective on what resilience means.
And that's what I meant, and you articulated very well. And I'm over here having these emotional responses, right? I chuckled or I smiled when you started talking about the shift for you, because I welcome you here, and I recognize that what you're going through is challenging, and as a friend, I have to let you go through it for yourself.
Mm.
You know, um, it's like we're here to talk it through, but I have to let you go through it because it's an experience that only when I recall when I would call you with some of my challenges, and you were in the corporate world doing your thing. The way that you responded to me was helpful, but it was definitely that's a corporate guy talking to a guy who's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Now, I appreciate our conversation so much more because you're feeling it,
Yep.
right? And my goal for you is my support for you is for you to stay in the game, stay in the game long enough to understand it.
Yep.
Understand what it looks like, what it feels like, because that what you just said about having to wake up and then create for you, and if it's just you right now, for you to then deliver after you've created.
So you talking about staying in the game. We talked about the voices in your head. We talked about doubt. One of the voices that, especially early days, is the loudest. Is you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it.
Yeah.
I think I shared with you, since I have made this transition, the phone has been ringing. And I've had a number of opportunities to jump back into the old pond. New circumstances, but the old pond. And I've turned those opportunities down, right? Not because I'm sure in the path that I'm on,
Right.
not because I'm so financially comfortable that it doesn't matter. Not because I believe that something is around the corner that will make all of this go away, but because I believe right now that I'm on this path and journey
Yep.
because I should be. I put 20 years in corporate America. I achieved and learned a ton. And I recognize after this last opportunity that it's no longer for me.
Mm.
And that was very clear to me. It wasn't, this isn't I don't want to work for anybody else. I want to be my own boss. No,
Right.
no, no. I
Yeah.
was very fine working
Yeah.
for someone else. I was very fine driving the agenda and being successful in doing it, both financially and otherwise,
Yeah.
of someone else's organization. It wasn't necessarily my pursuit to own my own business as a father, husband of two children, or father of two children, husband, etc. So to the person, Gerren, that may be watching this video, that may be about to jump,
Mm.
who thinks I'm so frustrated in my current circumstances that I'm going to jump, what do you say?
Hold tight. Perspective matters, man. Perspective matters. There are a lot of people who want to jump because they're good at a thing, and oftentimes people do reach out to me asking, "Hey, what's it like?" Or "I want to make this move. Should I?" And I'm not necessarily discouraging anyone from not doing it. Again, perspective matters. Do you like the thing that you're good at? Because when you get into business, you'll realize that you're not necessarily doing the thing that you really enjoy doing. Michael Gerber says in the book, he talks about if you're a baker who wants to start a company, you're not going to be baking anymore, right? So if you really love to bake, just go get hired by someone by a bakery,
Right.
so you can just continue to bake.
Right.
But once you start dealing with invoices, contracts, uh, accounts receivables, accounting, the stuff that I really don't enjoy, even after 20 years, you run into that rut, and then
But Gerren, I'm passionate about it.
I hear you.
I'm passionate about it, and no one else understands my passion.
Yeah.
I'm bursting at the seams
Yeah.
with ideas and possibility and potential, and my corporate job is just holding me back. I'm taking the leap. What's the response?
Yeah, so this morning I woke up at 3 o'clock. Okay, 3 o'clock because I couldn't sleep, getting prepared for the week ahead. Rolled over, saw my wife. She's having a nice rest, and my mind was so on fire that I had to engage, and I've been engaged all day long up until this very moment. Um, so I'm not sure that you're prepared for that. People talk about, I'm putting in so many hours for my job. I don't want to do this. I've put in many more hours and made far less than I was being paid before. Are you committed to that? Like, are you ready for that? Right? Because that's a whole nother ball game. When you start looking at the numbers and you realize you're making $2 and change an hour because you're putting in so many hours. And a lot of times we're putting in this work, not being paid for delayed gratification. Are you willing to delay your gratification? Because it's not coming just like that.
But Gerren, isn't there a golden chest at the end of the rainbow? At the end of all the effort, aren't I guaranteed to succeed? Aren't I guaranteed to be able to vacation when I want? Buy a second home in the islands.
Right.
Get a boat, whatever it is I'm interested in.
Right.
Like, isn't that a guarantee? Like, don't I create value just because of my passion and how I show up every day? Doesn't the fact that I care about something so much guarantee my success?
No. Because what I heard you say, and if you're that person out there, what I hear you say is that's your passion. But as a consumer, if I don't care, I don't care. I'm not purchasing, I'm not buying, I'm not leaning into you. I don't care. So, and then you mentioned this thing about, am I not guaranteed at the end? Going back to that original word of resilience, right? The end is only when we close our eyes. Until then, there will always be challenges, there will always be problems, there will always be room for growth. So how do you then navigate that never-ending story or journey until you close your eyes?
Yeah.
Goes back to that word resilience.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you make that decision, when I made that decision, by the way, I didn't make the decision. The
It was
decision was made
made
for
for you.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
As we talk about,
Yeah.
Gerren and I have talked about, we believe in the spiritual momentum of life and a larger being than us
Yeah.
really driving things. And so when that door shut, literally the day before a hurricane was going to hit Orlando, the day a storm
Yeah.
started in my physical space, a storm started in my career space
Yeah.
the same day. And so as I talked to my wife and reflected on what it is we do next,
Mm.
it became obvious to us that we were at an inflection point of not of our choosing. And so within a matter of days, things started to fall in place. And I wrestled with, is this something we really want to do?
Yeah.
If I hit send on this email, or if I hit pay on this, all of a sudden I got a company created. I got a web thing going here. I got all these major decisions that are just happening that signify a new direction. And yes, they're small, but man, are they significant?
Mm.
So to somebody who's like, all right, I'm listening to you guys. I'm not really sure what this means for me. I just know where I am right now. I'm restless in my spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need to do. I don't know where I need to go. I don't know what's next. This concept of resilience, whether it's resilience in my frustration, whether it's resilience in my disappointment, whether it's resilience in my aspirations, like how does somebody pull that together and say to themselves, okay, maybe it's not my time, or maybe it is, or these guys don't know what they're talking about, or maybe I'm going to be different. Like help the 1, 2, 500,000 people who across this video.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to them?
As you were speaking, I saw no difference between that and my life.
Mm.
It's quite the same. It's choose your hard.
Yeah.
That's what comes to my mind. Choose your hard.
Mm.
Again, your journey, what transpired when it transpired, I smiled and I welcomed you into this space because and watching you grow through the space has been a joy for me as a friend.
Mm.
Because you have, again, you said it in the beginning, you have done very well working in corporate America, and you now are choosing a different type of hard. This is of your choosing.
Mm.
And I said to you, my goal is to only support you however you make, however you're gonna navigate these waters. But I'm proud of you as you navigate these waters. And for the people who are out there who are just frustrated, it's just different, but you still have to navigate those kind of emotions, man.
Yeah.
It's no different. So for you, as I watch you, okay, all right, several months in, you're doing your thing. What has it been for you, knowing that with a phone call you can jump ship, and you're still deciding to go down this journey of the unknown? What has that been for you?
It has been probably one of the most challenging, doesn't do it justice. It's been one of the most personally refining processes of my life. And the reason I say that is because I've spent years, self-help books, business excellence books, you name it, building up the vocabulary, building up the concepts of what it means to navigate change and transformation. But saying it and reading it from a position of comfort versus saying it and reading it from a position where it's required are two fundamentally different things.